Hey, Pat here for week 37 of the free championship rotation for season 2 of the League of Legends, and I am this week joined by.
Matt, you're a coworker.
There we go, here at the CLBL building in space. Alright, well, let's jump on to this is basic champion advice. There are a couple champions that I have never played, and you'll come in handy for this. Alright, so first off, Ashe, really good. Well, I played Ashe. Good starter champ. She doesn't have any good escapes, but just about every move she has causes a slowdown on the opponent, so she's really a lot of
That
fun.
that that in and of itself is a pretty good escape, anyways.
Yeah, I mean, if you know what
Slow
you're
and
doing.
run.
And harassing with W,
Yeah.
that's the first skill you want to update. And she kind of has a free, like, Twisted Fate passive with her E. As you level that up, you gain more gold per kill. And now it actually has that counter to show you how much gold you've made from it. So I enjoy Ashe for that reason, oddly enough.
Very. Yeah, Dash is always a great choice. She's probably pretty much the starter AD champ.
Yep, and her ultimate is very helpful. You shoot a big arrow that stuns. It does okay damage. If you can manage to hit somebody from across the screen, everyone will love you.
Yeah, you're normally only 450 IP, but since you're a cheapskate, enjoy Ash.
Yeah, there we go. And if you're fighting against Ashe, the main thing you got to look out for is if anyone writes arrow and you see a ping, just get out the way. Next up, I don't think either of us have played Evelynn, but we have been butchered by her a couple of times.
Yeah, real hot off the new remake Evelyn too.
Yeah, which
Highly debated whether or not it's been a buff or a nerf.
yeah, people are still complaining, but if you're not paying attention, she could still wreck you, and her ultimate seems to be pretty helpful. I
Yeah.
guess if you want to experiment, I might experiment with her just to see what it's like. She could jungle, I
Yeah.
suppose. I mean, that's what you'll see her.
Jungle seems to be where she is supposed to go these days, anyways.
I can't think of another role for her, but she has a move called Hate Spike.
Yeah, it's the very fact that her passive basically, unless it's a vision ward, they don't see her.
Yeah, I guess that's good. Yeah. So then we have Heimerdinger, who I guess you'll mostly see mid, I suppose.
Yeah, if it's playing within the meta, Heimerdinger is a mid.
He's an AP
Um,
caster.
uh, Underappreciated champion. He can push a lane for days with his turrets.
Yeah,
Basically, if you know what he can be dangerous though, because if you don't know what you're doing, your game lane is always going to be constantly pushed. And if you do know what you're doing, your lane's going to be constantly pushed.
yeah. He's and he can be really scary if you're not expecting it. His AP ratios are kind of off the charts. His missiles can do a bunch of damage, and his kind of like shock
He's
grenade is pretty good.
Yeah, he's a bit of an underappreciated champion. He's the only other champion other than Teemo who actually has a blind right now.
Oh,
That
that's a
that
good point.
grenade can
Yeah,
come in pretty handy in a team fight.
especially yeah.
Like I said, he's a bit underappreciated, but he can be pretty fun.
And they're still reworking him, so who knows? The next time we do one of these free week of things, we could be saying completely different things about him.
All right,
Um,
and apparently this is Tank Week where they have
oh
the
God,
tanks.
yeah, get ready for some beatdown. Here's
I'm
the
gonna start
thing.
talking about Rammus and Shen simultaneously.
Yeah, it's just because both of them have this mechanic called taunt, where you'll be
With
screaming into the
Rammus,
sky.
yeah, exactly. With Rammus, it is a what is it like up to almost 6 seconds now? It is
It's
ridiculously
absurd.
long, absurdly high range single target taunt where he will pull someone for days onto you from, and at the same time return damage with
With his
his
passive,
power balls.
he
I
basically
forget what
has
it's called.
thorn mail on all the time. Is one of the ways to approach him, and he has
Oh,
a
it's very scary, and he's got the power ball roll, so he's always got that great initiative where he can get massive speed and just ram
yeah.
into you.
He's faster than you think. You'll mainly find him in the jungle, and you're not going to get away from him. Even if you haven't pushed that well and you think you can get away, he gains speed as he rolls, and his ultimate is an
Right.
AOE, just pretty good damage as well. He's scary.
Although if you support Lux is picking up these days, it seems. If you got one of them, odds are
Oh
you
yeah,
can
she
root him
just
and then you will be able to run away pretty. Something like that.
yeah. Or if
He'll
Lulu
make
hits
you
him with
burn
a
flash.
Lulu can turn him into a squirrel.
Yep.
Now we
All right.
have
And then
following
Shen
Remy.
is
Shen is the golden
Shen.
boy.
Oh, Shen is insane ever since they reworked him. What was it, 3 months ago now?
Yeah,
How long has it been?
it's been a
It's
while.
been a
It's been
while.
long enough for him to turn into like. So he is either in the
He
jungle,
can jungle?
but he's
Yeah.
also known as just a murderous top lane.
No, these days, yeah, since they gave him his damage back, he is just. Shen is a very tough solo top lane if Shen knows what he's doing.
Yeah,
Most of the time, if you don't evenly trade, it's because he won the trade.
yeah. He can wreck you up, and the main thing. So the two things you have to worry about Shen are that he could taunt you, which means he'll force people to attack him, and you'll do reduced damage. And he also has a shield, so that's scary. And secondly, he has that global ult, which will make someone practically invincible. So he can appear just about anywhere on the screen.
Pretty much. The great thing about Shen is that his presence is global.
Yeah,
Any time a fight goes down, he can be right there on top of it, giving that shield and teleporting right in to save his teammates. Unlike Rammus, his taunt is much more close range. He's got to be able to do this little short range dash,
yeah.
which he can also use for very high mobility to get over walls and stuff.
Yeah, it's similar to Grave. If you ever played against a Graves, it's the same range as his, but instead of getting an attack speed boof, he rams into you and then forces you to
Also,
attack him.
also instead of single target, he can hit as many people as he can actually hit with the physical dash itself.
Oh, I forgot
And he's
about
got
that.
that new added benefit of it reducing incoming damage after he does it.
Oh man, he's dangerous, and he's got some Mortal Kombat skins. So kind of like how last week when I said Karthus is free, prepare to die a bunch. Shen is free, so get ready to have every gank fail. And any 3-on-2 or 4-on-3, that's gonna just completely flip against you this entire week.
All right.
All right, next up, Garen, the man without a country, the man without a role.
Uh, I am a very big fan of Garen. He's a bit out of favor these days. No less deadly for the wear, though. He is pretty much exclusively a solo topper. He's very beefy, very basic forward, non-mana champion, so he's got a ton of sustain there.
He was one of the
He doesn't have to
first.
worry about mana costs on a spell.
Yeah.
Definitely one of the first high sustain solo top champions. I was like, he can build. You probably want to go more tanky than damage with him normally. Um, he can get too squishy later if he doesn't able to carry his game, but he can put lots of harass and take lots of his own harass and trade favorably in top lane with most champions up there.
And even though he's kind of outdated, he still has a pretty good kit. He can silence people. He can do AoE damage with his spin to win. And his ultimate scales on how hurt someone is. So he can clean out people. Kind of like Darius, but he can only use it once.
Right.
And
Pretty much.
and he's the
Yeah,
Wolverine.
Garen. He is the Wolverine. That passive means if he stays out of combat without taking damage long enough, he just starts regenerating.
Like a free potion.
I mean, it seems like it's small if you're not used to it, but yeah, it can add up to be quite massive health regeneration.
Anytime someone bases back, he basically will be in a much better position by the time you can wander back.
And like we said, he gets fantastic sustain for a top game. He's just starting to get a little bit more in the limelight thanks to newer champions released who can do the solo top thing a little better than Garen can.
Yeah. Darius.
Yeah, Darius.
Darius apparently mocks Garen in one of his jokes or taunts, like he tries to spin to win. Doesn't work.
Does he?
Yeah. Next up, we have the the meta is changing. Here's the new popular support, Sona. She's really
Yeah.
awesome. It's the queen of auras basically. Every time you switch between one of her auras, she can buff damage, she can buff attack, she can buff speed, and her ultimate is probably one of the earliest and best forms of just CC. It just sends a huge yellow wave. Anyone touched by it is forced to dance for a couple of seconds. That can make or break a team fight.
Can easily. Positioning with Sona is something you've got to get used to. Very, definitely a bit of a learning curve on her because of just how fast she can blow through her mana, especially with the recent changes that reduced her global cooldown that lets her basically spam them if she needs to.
Yeah.
Um, she can definitely bring a lot of utility to the team. She has a lot of utility too. It's not just simply an aura because her passive is the power chord,
Yeah.
which adds an extra bonus effect to her basic attack after 3 successful spells. And all of them do something wildly different that can seriously help the team. She has a fantastic snare off of her movement speed one that can slow down an enemy and get them ganked. Her the one based off of her heal attacks an enemy drastically reduces their damage output. Always able, so you can get favorable trades if they're going in with the champion. And then her power attack 1 is a great early harassment, and that's one of the best things about Sona and why she's such a great early support character is that fantastic range on her Q. Even after tons and tons of nerfs in her lifetime, that Q is a fantastic harassment when
It's
she's combined with her
horrifying.
power sword.
I was trying to learn
She's squishy
Tristana,
though, so she's
and that's a
she's
Sona
kind of
ruined my
vulnerable to
life.
the counterattacks if you yeah.
Yeah, but she's great. She was one of the first heroes I remember really being nerfed so hard after like a month or so being out. I remember playing a whole bunch of Sona, and they were like, "Nah, we don't know. She's too good." So Sona's very awesome. If you want to
Yeah.
play more aggressive support, and you've been messing around with some support champs, definitely check her out. You're probably going to end up buying her after you try her. Next up, Victor. I like this guy. His main gimmick that may surprise you when you try him out is he starts out with an item, and once you get 1,000 gold, you can upgrade that item, and it'll change up. Well, who am I saying? You're only going to buy the red one, which upgrades his Q to have it do damage over time and gives him a massive AP boost. They've already admitted that the W and E boosters, no one picks them, so they're going to be reworking them soon.
Yeah.
He's an interesting person.
Um,
He's got a lot of damage.
it actually upgrades his E. His E is his primary attack. His
Oh,
Q
his
is
Q
his
is the.
range.
It's been so long since I played
Yeah, that's
Victor.
the weird thing about him is
That seems like a
almost
Q.
everyone, their poke is usually their Q.
Yeah.
For him, it's his E.
We'll be talking about one of the
That
best
is
Q
his
pokes in a bit.
Yeah, that's his augment death upgrade actually.
Oh, yeah.
He's a very interesting champion. He's definitely got some nice stuff to bring. He's supposed to have more utility. He's kind of like a Veigar in that he has an area effect stun that he can throw out,
Yeah.
and then follow it up with a ton of single target and multi-target damage if necessary. He's got some bugs though that aren't good for him right now. His like we've talked about his laser, his E. I don't remember the name of it right now. It will occasionally glitch out, and there will be no animation whatsoever for it. So invisible lasers going left and right.
Oh,
Good luck
invisible
aiming those,
lasers.
and good
Oh
luck
my god.
dodging those.
I'm going to play Victor.
Yeah. And his ultimate can be, I think it's also underestimated. It can be quite game changing.
Oh, it is so
it's this
confusing.
massive area of effect storm that he can control after he releases it.
He
And
summons a
upon
rain
first
cloud.
damage, it also silences.
Yeah. No, I've
So he's got a silence that he can cast on an entire enemy team while doing damage and giving them something to be afraid of.
people often forget about the rain cloud when it comes out. So, like, I mean, that would be the best advice. He could poke further than you think. If that purple thing is down, don't stay in it. It's not just to slow, it'll stun if you stay in it for too long. He gains a shield from one of his pokes, his Q. If it successfully hits, he
Yeah.
gains a shield. Oh, wait, no, that's a click to
Something
hit.
that might be counterintuitive about Victor though is that he actually gains all of his abilities are a lot easier for him to land and get off on you when you're in close range to him.
Yeah.
He's got a fantastic long range approach in his E, but it's much easier for him to land his stun on you and make a favorable trade with his Q if you get in close.
Oh, yeah, if one of my casted games, if you go back to it, you can see amazing Victor play. If you use that Q when you run in the bushes, you can hit someone, run in the bush, it come back out with the shield. Now Victor's he's a cool person. Don't see a lot of people play him.
Yeah.
He's gonna have his day. All right, and you'll see him in the
they
mid.
are looking at right, and they're looking at more revamps to him. It looks like, but
Yeah.
those are probably down the pipe.
They want to fix his. You got to pay 1,000 gold for. They want to definitely change. They're not helpful.
It's a good item too. Most people would like to view it as half an item, but there's a lot of free AP that you
Oh,
normally
tons.
wouldn't have by mid game for that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely well worth it. All right, so up next we have Hecarim, the horsey
I don't
man.
think either of us have tried Hecarim.
I played Hecarim. One went really good, one went really bad. Hecarim is a real interesting character. Actually, if you find Saint Vicious's YouTube channel, he has a half-hour diatribe on why he thinks Hecarim will be the next scariest jungler in the game. Hecarim's passive is mostly useless. His movement speed is converted to attack speed, but if you do the number crunching, if you buy all movement items, it's not even worth the boost. Just buy straight damage. The thing that makes him the most dangerous is that his W is an AoE damage thing that heals him based on all damage done around him. That's not just damage that he's dealing, but his entire team. So in an endgame team fight, when you're near with your AD carry and the AP carry, and they're tossing out tons and tons of damage, Hecarim is being healed for a percentage of that as well. So he is a lot tankier than I think a lot of people assume. He has some good stuns, and his ultimate does pretty big AoE damage. It's a good charge in, kind of like Shyvana's ultimate where it kind of jumps in, except he doesn't follow it. It jumps ahead of him. But if it hits someone, they run towards Hecarim. I don't know, he seems like a real neat champ. I ran him top lane and
Yeah,
it didn't go
he's
well.
definitely
He's a
he's a
jungler.
very speedy champ. Great for the jungler.
Yeah, and his stun move is gives him attacks, gives him movement speed. So when he comes out of the trees at you from the jungle, he's going to be moving faster, and when he touches you, you're stunned, and he's just going to keep hitting you, and hitting you. He's a danger. I don't know how free weak Hecarim is going to be. All right, so to end this, we got
We
Varus,
got your boy coming up.
my boy Varus. This guy is some trouble. If you can hit
You
skill
don't like the
shots,
close, Pat.
yeah, he wants to stay far away. And if you like poking, if you can land a skill shot, Varus is your man. His whole thing is that when you press Q, he'll pull back an arrow, and if you let it charge the full amount and then correctly guess where your opponent's going to be, and you hit Q again, or if you smart cast it, you hold Q and then release Q. Most damaging early game poke. You can ruin people's lives with that. Um, I mean, the other things he has, he kind of has like it's a little bit like a delayed Ash arrow for his ultimate. He lets out what is basically a snake, hits an opponent, they are just being held in place, and any opponent near them will then have a snake spawn to them after the first stun is over. So you can kind of get a domino effect, but if the enemy team knows to scatter, they can completely wreck it. Um, and his other thing, which is kind of valuable, is that he gets attack speed boosts when he kills people. So if he kills a minion, it's a moderate one that lasts 3 seconds. If he kills a champion, it's a heavy speed boost that lasts for about 6 seconds. So he can actually be like a machine gun late game. I like him to death, but he just
Right. How does his blight work?
oh blight. I forgot all about that. His W, he adds magic damage naturally to enemy opponents, and then you can land 3 blight stacks, and you pop that with another ability. And if you hit with that, it does percentage health. So it's like a built-in. I don't remember what that item is called, but it's a bleeding green hand.
Madrid's Blood Razor.
Yeah, there we go. It's good for when you want to fight like Volibear or Cho'Gath, like people with huge health. You'll be able to help with that. And his E, which I like to call Make It Rain, it has some move. It has some name that doesn't Make It Rain. Fires a bunch of arrows, and that creates an AOE damage that leaves a circle on the ground. That if people stand in, they're slowed. Number one, and number two, healing is less effective. So that makes him also useful in team fights. I like Varus a lot. You'll see him in the bottom lane. I don't know how many people play him. People only tend to play him when I play him because every Varus match I think I've ever had has been a mirror match. So don't play Varus this week.
He is a great long range harasser. He could definitely outpoke a lot of other champions if he can contain his distance.
Yeah. Oh, he can be annoying.
The range on his fully charged Q is just insane.
Yeah, and it's fatter than you think. That would be my piece of advice against Varus. If you're fighting against Varus, does tons of damage, and that is a lot fatter than you think. You got to make sure he misses. Alrighty, well that's the free champions for the week. So you worried about this week?
I am worried about the tanks in my lane.
Yeah, Rammus, Shen.
Yeah, Rammus and Shen, and I'm worried about Heimerdinger being on my team. So we'll see how that works.
Yeah, there we go. All right, so quickly we'll touch on what's on sale this week. I'm going to be buying Vayne the moment she is available to buy. You can get her for half off, about $5. Kennen is also available for about $5. He's a mid laner. He's a top laner. Kennen's very versatile. You can play him AD, AP, little ninja rat man. My worst nightmare is the cheap guy for this week. I hate Tryndamere to death. We talked about him last week. If you want to find out more about him, check that out. Costumes. I'm not excited about any of these. Are you excited about any of these?
I must be looking at the wrong model. I see different champions on sale than you.
Headhunter, Master Yi, Commando Lux.
Yeah, I still see Soraka, Trundle, and Ziggs.
It's Groovy Zillion's Far Out Pizza Party and Sale. It's not in the program.
Yeah, I'm not really happy about any of those. Yeah.
Okay. And the outfits for this week are Headhunter, Master Yi. Ooh, the model viewer is glitching out. That's beautiful. Well, imagine it without this giant forever hair growing out of the back of him. I don't know. Looks a little bit different than normal Master Yi. Almost looks like a Mortal Kombat character. If I have to have a Yi butcher me without me understanding Alpha Strike, I guess I wouldn't mind seeing that. Next up, we have Commando Lux. That's an okay skin, but I don't like the Commando series.
I I honestly think that is her worst skin, but then again, I don't like any of the Commando skins, so that's what
Yeah,
it
I,
is.
I don't like the idea of the Commando skins. And then we have a blue version of Ezreal. Frosted Ezreal. So if you want your Ezreal
Honestly,
blue.
I
Yeah?
know it's basically a recolor, but I still like that one better than his default.
No,
And for
okay.
me, for quite a while, I thought that was his default skin because
Because
I
so many
just
people use it.
enjoyed it that much more. Yeah.
Oh, Ezreal, you look like a Final Fantasy character. Oh, he's got a neat symbol on his back. Never noticed that. Probably because it's a top-down game. Alrighty, well that is your free week 37 of 37, jeez, of season 2, and that's also is on sale, so we'll be seeing you out there in the League of Legends.